just a few clarifying things. You said he was hateful. Can you explain how?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his debates were not in good faith. This is a quite a minor example, but I mean, he did definitely trap people into corners. He did make them look stupid. He used misleading wording. His goal online, as much as
the question was how he was hateful. So, to be clear, I would contest your accusations that he was bad faith or he was misleading or using certain words or whatever. Even if that was the case, though, why would that be hateful?
Well, I think he also backed a lot of hateful points.
Such as?
I mean, as far as I'm aware of, he was very anti-abortion. He was very anti-gay marriage. I'm
actually not sure on his position on the gay marriage thing, but
yeah, we could probably.
He was anti-abortion. Okay.
The gay marriage one, I could probably use a fact check. I'm not that up to date on his. I haven't looked into it recently.
I would imagine my understanding of his position, he doesn't have any issue with gay people, but given that he's a Christian, I suspect he would have some objections to gay marriage. So
I have absolutely. I know for a fact that I have seen clips of him saying that it's like whether unnatural or wrong or whatever. Okay. I don't know if he backed it being illegal.
Okay,
I can't.
That's fairly minor in terms of, I'm sure you object to some of his other positions more. What are the other hateful things?
Honestly, my main one is the abortion. I guess.
Anything else? Was there racism, sexism, anything?
Again, I'm not that up to date on his takes.
Okay,
I wouldn't like to make
the abortion component was the.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to make any false claims, even if I believe that might be true. I can't. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you understand why these people might be rejoicing or happy because, his other takes, but one such take that might justify these people's reactions is his anti-abortion position.
Yes.
Well, then, correspondingly, you must be okay also with people who have, and this is something that has happened in the past, when, for example, abortion clinics have been targeted in a violent way. You disavow the violence, but you would understand why somebody would target an abortion clinic?
What do you mean?
Well, you're sort of doing this justification for the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
I do not justify violence in any capacity.
Well, you're kind of roundabout saying, he didn't deserve to die, but you can understand why other people are happy about it. So then you would have no issue with when abortion clinics have been targeted by anti-abortionists. You would then, you would be okay if somebody was okay with somebody targeting.
Well, I would like to first off reiterate, I'm not making any claim on whether or not he deserved it either way. I don't think I have any right to. That is none of my business.
Right, but you're playing cover for the people who are, while they themselves didn't engage in the specific act of violence, you're saying, I kind of get why these people are enjoying or rejoicing in his death.
Sure. Do I personally think that it is right to rejoice in it? No. Do I understand that people are not always the most rational when they're emotional? Yes. This is a man who intentionally evoked reaction for clips, for views. He was definitely, the way that he debated was to get clips, and it worked. People had very strong opinions on him. And
that wouldn't justify murder, but
I do not. I'm anti-violence in all capacities.
I guess my confusion is, especially, and I understand your position, and I understand that you don't think he deserved to be assassinated. My issue, though, is you are playing cover for the people who are rejoicing in his assassination, saying you, to some degree, understand why they would act that way. Look, I understand that people have differences of political opinion, and that you might strongly dislike somebody, you might despise them, you might even hate them. But to me, it would never, I don't know why there needs to be a but. Well, I don't know why even people on the left side, there needs to be a but. Well, he didn't deserve to die, but he was bad in all these ways. Why can't we just leave it at what happened was wrong, he didn't deserve to die? And then, look, I'm fine with people having objections to his positions and worldviews. It's fair to criticize those things. But when we're having a conversation about his assassination and it's followed by a but, it seems like it's getting a bit into the territory of creating a sort of smuggled in justification, even if not for the assassination itself, the sort of clearly, and there's no other word, it's clearly, I would categorize it as evil to, even if you completely disagree with someone entirely, to rejoice in somebody's death. And some of the things I've seen online, maybe you've seen them, are disgusting. Completely disgusting.
Sure. So I'm going to jump to a very extreme example here. And I do want to make it clear beforehand, and this will make sense once I pose my question.
Sure.
I am not in any way comparing Charlie Kirk to Hitler. Bear with me on this.
Oh, boy.
When Hitler died, do you think people rejoiced?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. As much as I personally stand by the fact that we should not be claiming who deserves to live or die. We should not be rejoicing death in any sense. I think that when someone has such a profound impact on people emotionally, when someone is actively trying to enact policies that will harm people, that will end people's lives, because abortion does kill, or anti-abortion policies do kill.
Oh, you said it right the first time.
Abortion kills.
You said it right the first
I
time.
love that.
Anti-abortion policies do kill. And on that note, I think that when people see someone who is affecting their lives in such a heavy way and trying so hard to harm them personally, they obviously are going to have an emotional response to it.
Could I just ask, do you have a better example other than Hitler? Because Hitler
that's
has...
really intense.
I know it's very extreme.
It's very extreme to the point because he
Charlie
has murdered people.
Kirk is
Yes.
nothing
Charlie
like
Kirk
Hitler.
just had
Well,
different
of course,
opinions.
my opinion isn't
crazy.
saying that they're in any way similar or on similar levels of evil or anything
You
along
can
those
even
lines.
use that
But
example.
I'm just curious, why invoke that? Because I'm sure we would acknowledge that there is a threshold, right? So is your position, let's just cut to the chase, is your position that Charlie Kirk was beyond the threshold of justified rejoicing in his death because of his political beliefs or whatever?
I personally do believe so. I don't think that it's rational. I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's humane. But I think that if someone has an emotional response like that, what he had done would evoke emotional responses like that from people, whether or not it's, yeah.
Well, I think there's a couple different thresholds here. So I can understand. Look, I think if there's a person who you hate and they die, maybe they have a personal feeling. Perhaps this is the social media world we live in. Even then, I would sort of object to even a private, individual, internal rejoicing when someone dies. I do think that is a bit malevolent and evil. But to publish it is like a much higher threshold. To publish it and to just be so, I can't even,
Vocal.
it's not just, I'm glad this
Sinister.
happened. I've seen clips of people saying, why stop there? What about, I saw this girl who was, she was saying that it should have been the wife and kids too.
Yep.
That's
I've heard
horrible.
that.
That's disgusting.
Right.
I think that is disgusting.
But I guess my question here is, you mentioned the slippery slope. So what then, I guess you would be, if we were to change the political alignment, let's say, and I was trying to think who on the left side or the Democrat side would be on Charlie Kirk's level. I don't actually think there's a lot of left-leaning influencers that are on his level. I mean, if I was thinking maybe not even Hassan is not on Kirk's level. You know who Hassan Piker is?
Yes.
Right. And just to be clear, don't think anybody should. But I was thinking if somebody on the other side of the political aisle was assassinated, would you also go to the defense of, say, like Republicans or conservatives who are publicly rejoicing and saying like despicable statements because, like, from their perspective, like, logically, wouldn't it follow that, well, because of the disagreements on politics, that they're justified in rejoicing?
Well, see, here's where it gets complicated, because I don't think that people have a right to rejoice over disagreements, like, right? I don't think that people necessarily are rejoicing over Charlie Kirk's death because they disagreed with him. I think it's because he genuinely was proposing policies that were harming people. He was actively advocating for things that were, yes.
No.
Go on.
Well, so
you get my point.
But you're saying harm, right?
Yes.
But from your perspective, right?
Exactly.
But from the other perspective,
Yes.
they would say, well, these pro-choicers, if they're okay, the pro-choice position is that this is murder. Mm-hmm. When you get an abortion, you're murdering an unborn child. So from their perspective, that's harm being done. So from their perspective, you must, I know you don't agree with that, but you would have to, I guess, to logically be consistent if you're, I mean, otherwise, well, I guess you could just say, well, I don't agree with their worldview, therefore they're not justified in their, you know, rejoicing in like a left-wing politician or, you know, whoever, speaker, political activist being assassinated. But if their worldview is genuinely that abortion is murder, like it would be fair then for them to rejoice?
Yes.
So, okay, then you'd be fine with like abortion clinics being...
No. From my personal perspective, obviously I don't understand it. I can't put myself in that headspace because that's not what I view it as. If someone genuinely believes that babies are being murdered and they assassinate someone to stop that from happening, I can understand people being happy about that if they genuinely believe babies are being murdered. I don't. So I can't get into that headspace. I can't get behind it. But with such a strong emotion like that, I get it.
But so I can tell you this, there are political positions on the left. I lean more conservative, right? I'm not like full-blown conservative, but I lean like mostly pretty strongly conservative. There are people who I have fundamental disagreements with on politics and so forth. And there are some positions that I think are really hard, that left-leaning positions, leftist positions, liberal positions, Democrat positions that are really harmful to society. They cause harm. But because somebody advocated for these positions or voted for whatever it is, even if a political opponent of mine was assassinated, I would never rejoice. I would condemn and disavow anybody on my side who did rejoice, even if this person was a political opponent, a very strong one. That's kind of the difference here. So I don't think, even though there's differences of political opinion, I don't want to see it happening on my side. I don't want to see it happening on the other side.
Yeah. I am. I have one thing to say on that, and I want to bring the attention more over here because I've been leaving you waiting.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm on the same page. I'm not about to go and rejoice over anyone's death, no matter what. Especially because I think when it comes to gun violence, to rejoice in any death from gun violence is to rejoice in gun violence. And I think that is disgusting. I think gun violence is completely avoidable. And one of the, should be condemned in all manners. On that note, I do think that there is a... Do you believe that there is like a threshold of evil you can cross to where it's warranted for people to have a reaction, such as the reaction they're having to Charlie Kirk, whether or not you think he was there or not? Do you think that level can be reached?
Yeah, I think that there are genuinely people who are monsters, and yes, but I don't believe Charlie Kirk passed that threshold.
Okay, I can understand that.
Like, for example, you brought up, you invoked Hitler for, I mean, okay.
A bit extreme, I understand.
Well, but I mean, like, this, so Hitler participated, like, there were war crimes.
Yes.
War crimes.
He comes.
So, but
yes.
But when you're engaged in and conducting war crimes, then the ultimate punishment for that would be death. So point out, and this is wartime too, this is a belligerent nation. The United States was opposed to the Axis powers. So, and Hitler was the leader of Germany. So, yeah, typically when you're having an actual physical war with somebody, you're trying to actually like take out the leadership.
Yes.
So there's actually like legal justification, wartime justification for attempting to kill like commanders, leaders of the opposing military because you're at war. In this case, however, I guess my question to you would be, has Charlie Kirk committed an act that the state would be able to commit capital punishment against him for any of his conduct?
No, and
So Hitler, as a belligerent against the United States, did commit certain acts during wartime that would warrant capital punishment.
Yes. My question here, when bringing that up, is not to pose like, why is Hitler deserving and Charlie Kirk isn't. I'm not posing that question. I understand the difference there. The question I am posing is, are there circumstances in which it's warranted? Regardless of what the circumstances are, I'm just wondering if that's a threshold you can reach, which you've said yes to.
So why then can't I say, well, the threshold for murder or assassinating somebody is because they hurt my feelings?
A personal belief like that, it's up to you.
My feelings got hurt.
See, I think that's absurd, but people hold their own individual beliefs. The threshold lies where it lies for each individual. We can't affect that.
Or what about somebody, I don't know, somebody called me stupid.
Sure, yeah, that's insane. But I think that
them?
Not legally. The same, like anyone can murder anyone. We are really drastically overlooking the point that people are being killed with guns specifically, constantly in this country, obsessively.
Yeah.
And we only really care when it's a public face like this because it's fun to cause outrage, I guess. People love to argue, right? I think that, frankly, the most upsetting part of the entire Charlie Kirk situation is the fact that people care so much more when it's his life than it is with anyone else's.
He was murdered live on television. That's a huge difference in what you're just saying.
In front of his kids, too, and his wife.
And I understand.
fucked up.
I would like to ask if I can I discuss Palestine here, or should I not bring that up?
I'm kind of okay with it. I know you want to come in.
I'm so sorry. I keep interrupting you.
Well, so...
Who's coming to this group for our political opinion? Like, how did we go from dating to
I know what happened.
this group's political opinion?
I just can't shut up.
It is a pretty big breaking news thing. Well,
I agree with Charlie Kirk, but our deep political philosophy, this group.
In case you couldn't tell, I can't shut up.
Look, we're not going to. It's a fair point. We will get back to dating soon, but I did at least want to bring it up because we'll talk about it briefly, but we will move on soon. You wanted to bring up Palestine?
The one thing I would like to say on Palestine, I understand that there's a difference between it being a broadcasted event with a given crowd, right? People are being murdered in Palestine in front of their entire families, in front of their friends, in front of their communities constantly, more than we are capable of grasping. These videos are being plastered all over the internet. People are watching this shit for fun.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is going to be very sort of roundabout thinking here, but you said that Charlie Kirk espoused hateful rhetoric.
Yes.
Right, and I guess you say that that's not justification for assassination?
No.
But you can understand why people might.
I don't think that there is any justification. Ooh.
Okay.
Never mind.
So hateful rhetoric. You said that. Would you categorize? You mentioned LGBTQ marriage, right?
Yes.
And how Charlie Kirk opposed it.
Yes.
Right. My question to you is, you cited this as a reason for why you might understand why people are rejoicing at Charlie Kirk's death because he was anti-LGBTQ. Would you say he's homophobic?
Again, I truly am not that well versed on his specific takes.
Well, he's against gay marriage, so would you consider that
I would
homophobia?
consider that to be homophobia.
Okay, so you would label him as a homophobe, you would label him as anti-LGBTQ, you would say that he's against gay marriage, et cetera, and that was one of the primary justifications for you saying, well, I understand why people are rejoicing. You brought up Palestinians. Do you think there's a good record of how do I want to frame this properly?
Oh, I'm excited.
Do you think in Palestine or other Muslim majority countries that there's robust laws that protect people who are gay?
No.
Do you think that, for example, in certain Muslim countries, Muslim majority countries, that they're oftentimes, if somebody's found out to be gay, that they're stoned to death? Or
That's
they're
a bit
killed?
extreme. That there are circumstances, but if we're acting like that
hold
is the like natural
Hold on.
practice.
Do you think they're pro-choice?
But hold on. Do you think again? But you would have to agree. The reality is, in these Muslim majority countries, there's not a lot of rights for the LGBT community.
Sure, if you want
So
to.
wait,
yes.
but why? How do you reconcile then? How do you reconcile your defense of Palestine, which is clearly anti-LGBT, but also seem to have some issue with Charlie Kirk's anti-LGBT position?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm anti-violence in any sense. That comes before any of my other beliefs. I don't think homophobia is a reason to kill people. I think that's pretty simple. But I also want to make it clear when I'm talking about Palestine, I'm not talking about the lawmakers. I'm talking about the children. I'm talking about the mothers, the fathers, the wives, the husbands, the men, the women, all of them.
Well, hold on. Even the citizenry, you do realize, it's not just the politicians in these Islamic or Muslim countries. It's the majority of the citizenry is quite anti-LGBT.
Yes, they live in a country where they are encouraged to be. I think that we, specifically the U.S., is relatively open and, accepting of different people because it's legal here, because it's, we can discuss it, we can be in those spaces, we can have community like that. If they're not able to do those things, then yeah, I'd assume the population's more homophobic. That's fair. I also want to put it out there, I don't justify violence in any circumstance.
But can I ask you?
Yes.
So just to be clear, I think my personal position, any of these conflicts going on in the world, whether it's Israel-Palestine, whether it's Ukraine-Russia, or whether it's individual political assassinations, war's terrible.
Yes.
I hate to see anybody, whether I agree with them, disagree with them, being killed, civilians being killed, whatever it is. I don't like to see conflict. It's terrible, right? I guess my confusion is, though, if it is the case that Palestinians overwhelmingly are anti-LGBT, then if people are rejoicing because they're being killed, would you have objections to that?
They are children. We're talking. If people want to rejoice,
fine. What about the adults?
The adults.
Yeah.
If people are happy that people who are raised to be homophobic are dying and who never really knew much else and who were raised in a genocide, right? And whatever, never formed full political opinions. If you want to judge their morality based off of that, go for it. I personally care much more about the fact that this culture is being erased, that the land is being taken, that beyond count, that just an insane amount of people are dying, and this is never discussed. It's discussed in the sense of some people online are like, this is bad, and then with the exception of that, people forget for years at a time. I would really like to bring it to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done with my points.
Okay, so you said something very valuable when you talked about we determine how much value a person's life is based on certain things and whose death is more impactful than that. I totally agree with that, and I'm gonna come back to that. But I feel like we also have this difference in value for human life, because you talk about the children in Palestine. We talk about having so much gun control because the children in all of these mass shootings. What is the difference between children that are being aborted?
My
So-
said what I said,
Okay,
or
so
what I wanted to
that's
say.
the question I'm going to pose.
Yes.
But I just think that we have this selective outrage, because I've seen some horrendous videos on social media lately from clinics of just baby parts in buckets, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But when it's a child sitting in a school, it's somehow different, and that's what's the concern. And I think that's the big thing with Charlie Kirk, is that there's this value placed on life based on what color you are, based on what your political beliefs are, based on how much money you have. And there's this double standard. Going back to earlier, there was this double standard and we don't have the same energy for all of the different things. So what would you say the difference is? Or even, let's say, people who didn't have an issue with the issue with the assassination of, I think it was like Democratic, I don't know what their exact position was, but it was a couple, I believe. I don't know much about it.
Yes.
People don't have the same upset about that they have had about Mr. Kirk. So it's, what's the explanation for that? Why are we as humans putting this like level of like, okay, this is different death, or this is different violence, or this is different when these children, and it's different when it's these children? Like, why do you think that is? And as someone who I assume is pro-abortion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pro-choice.
So what's the difference between the children in Palestine, children in schools, or children being taken? Because either way, they're young lives.
I do completely understand where you're coming from with that. I personally am not going to get onto the argument of whether or not abortion is murder. That is not my abortion take. The reason that I am pro-choice...
Would you say that taking a life is murder?
Well, let me explain my take real quick, and then we'll get into it.
Well, you know what? I'm actually going to jump in here just because...
Gotcha.
It is getting a little bit away from the actual topic at hand, because now we're just getting into like a separate abortion conversation, which we've already kind of derailed a little bit too much as it is. I have some chats coming through.
Hail and well met. Lol Paladins donated $200.02.
Yo, where you been?
She's so
Thank you, man.
indoctrinated, it's sad. The men, the women, and the children of Palestine want death to bunnies and death to homosexuals.
Oh,
it's not just a few bad apples. Unless she thinks the same about police.
So it changed, that was supposed to be Jews. It changed, for some reason, Streamlabs changed Jews to bunnies.
I was very confused about the bunny. I was like, I haven't heard this before.
Lol Paladins donated $200.
Yo, thank you, man. Where you been, bro?
That being said, it's so hilarious she is concerned about the Palestinian culture being erased, but yet she would rejoice about her own culture being replaced in the United States.
I don't have a response to that one. All I would like to say is I find this very funny because I am Syrian. So I don't know what we mean by my own culture. I don't support cultural erasure in any form.
So maybe Lol Paladins, I don't know if you want to revise it. By the way, thank you for the big support, man. It's been a while, dude. Thank you for tuning in, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you've been well, man. Okay.